How to speak with people. Lily often felt a deep frustration bubbling within her. She understood English articles, watched movies without subtitles, and could follow complex conversations effortlessly. Yet, when it came to speaking, her tongue tied itself into knots. A simple "hello" felt like climbing Mount Everest, fraught with invisible obstacles. She longed to express herself fluently. This perplexing gap between her comprehension and articulation was a constant source of anxiety. How to speak with people, she'd whisper to herself, the question echoing in her mind. Every social interaction where English was required became a dreaded performance. She imagined all eyes on her, judging every hesitant pause and mispronounced syllable. The phrase, "how to talk in English," was a frequent search query on her browser. She consumed countless tips, watched motivational videos, and read articles promising miraculous fluency overnight. Despite this intense theoretical preparation, the practical application remained elusive. The words simply wouldn't flow freely from her lips, like a stubborn dam holding back a rushing river. She yearned for the best way to learn English, believing there must be some secret method she hadn't discovered yet. Perhaps a magic pill, a forgotten technique, or a highly exclusive learning program existed. This constant search for a perfect solution often distracted her from the simple, consistent effort required to truly master a language. A persistent thought haunted her: why I always make mistakes. This fear of imperfection paralyzed her. She replayed past conversations, cringing at every grammatical error or awkward phrasing. The desire to avoid mistakes became a self-fulfilling prophecy, making her hesitant to even attempt speaking, thus ensuring more errors due to lack of practice. "I understand English but I can't speak well," she confessed to her reflection. It was a common lament among many learners, a frustrating paradox. Her brain processed information rapidly, grasping nuances and contexts. However, the connection between understanding and verbalizing seemed broken, a crucial circuit missing from her communication network, leaving her feeling incomplete. This inability made social situations incredibly challenging. Group discussions were particularly intimidating. She would listen intently, formulate brilliant responses in her head, but then hesitate. By the time she gathered the courage to speak, the conversation had moved on, leaving her with unspoken thoughts and a reinforced sense of inadequacy. The fear wasn't just about grammar, it was about sounding unnatural, about her accent, about finding the right words quickly. She imagined native speakers rolling their eyes or struggling to understand her. This internal monologue of self-doubt eroded her confidence before she even uttered a single word, creating a formidable barrier. Lily often observed how other people talk in English. She watched her colleagues, friends, and even strangers conversing effortlessly, their words flowing like a gentle stream. They made mistakes sometimes, she noticed, but they simply corrected themselves and moved on, seemingly unfazed. This observation sparked a tiny flicker of hope within her. She admired their confidence, their willingness to just speak, even if imperfectly. They didn't seem to obsess over every little slip. This stark contrast between their relaxed approach and her own rigid self-criticism highlighted a fundamental difference in mindset. Perhaps the key wasn't perfect grammar, but simply the courage to engage. The thought, "I don't want to make a mistake but I always do, why?" plagued her mind relentlessly. It felt like a curse, a personal failing. This deep-seated aversion to error prevented her from taking necessary risks, from experimenting with new vocabulary, and from truly immersing herself in the spoken language environment, stifling her progress. She began to understand that the why wasn't about intelligence or capability, but about attitude. Her intense focus on avoiding error was ironically the very thing causing them, by increasing anxiety and reducing spontaneity. It was a vicious cycle she desperately wanted to break free from, seeking a new path forward. One evening, scrolling through an online forum, she stumbled upon a simple yet powerful piece of advice: talk in English just 1 page per day. It wasn't about reading or writing, but about speaking. The idea was to narrate something, anything, for the duration it would take to read 1 page aloud. This concept resonated with her. It seemed manageable, less intimidating than a full conversation. It offered a structured way to practice speaking without immediate judgment. The pressure of an audience was removed, allowing her to experiment with sounds and sentence structures in a safe, private space, building foundational confidence. She decided to give it a try. The first day, she picked a random paragraph from a novel and attempted to describe it aloud. Her voice trembled, words stumbled, and her sentences felt clumsy. It was far from perfect, but she had done it. A tiny seed of determination was planted in her heart, ready to grow. Each day, she dedicated 15 minutes to this 1-page exercise. Sometimes she described her surroundings, sometimes her daily routine, sometimes she narrated a scene from a movie she'd just watched. The topics varied, but the commitment remained constant, slowly building her verbal muscle memory and reducing hesitation. The initial awkwardness slowly began to fade. Her tongue felt less stiff, her brain started retrieving words faster, and her sentences formed with slightly more ease. She still made mistakes, plenty of them, but the fear associated with them began to diminish. They were no longer catastrophic failures, but simple signposts. She started recording herself. Listening back was often excruciating, but also incredibly insightful. She identified recurring errors, noticed improvements in pronunciation, and tracked her progress over time. This self-assessment became a powerful tool, providing objective feedback that a tutor might offer, yet entirely self-directed and personalized. The 1 page per day transformed her solo practice. It wasn't about perfection, but about consistent engagement with the spoken word. It forced her to think in English, to articulate her thoughts, and to confront the gaps in her active vocabulary. This daily ritual steadily chipped away at her ingrained resistance to speaking. After a few weeks, she felt a subtle shift. Her internal monologue, once dominated by doubt, now contained more constructive self-correction. She began to notice when she was about to make a mistake and could sometimes rephrase mid-sentence. This newfound awareness was a significant leap forward in her journey. The improvement wasn't linear. Some days were frustrating, filled with forgotten words and tangled sentences. But she reminded herself of the discipline she had cultivated. It was a marathon, not a sprint. Every stumble was just another step on the long path to fluency, a necessary part of the learning process. Then came the next challenge: how to talk to people in pairs. Solo practice was great, but real-world conversation was different. She needed to interact, to respond spontaneously, to understand nuances in real time. This step felt like a significant escalation from her comfortable, private speaking environment. A friend, David, also learning English, suggested they practice together. Lily hesitated. The fear of judgment, even from a friend, resurfaced. What if she sounded foolish? What if she couldn't keep up? Her old anxieties about making mistakes started to creep back into her mind, casting a familiar shadow. David was persistent and encouraging. He understood her struggles because he shared many of them himself. He suggested they focus on just keeping the conversation going, no matter how many stumbles or pauses. This low-pressure approach appealed to Lily, making the idea of paired practice less daunting and more achievable. Their first session was awkward. Many long pauses, lots of and ahs, and frequent topic changes. But they laughed about it. They celebrated small victories, like completing a sentence without major hesitation. This shared vulnerability created a safe space, transforming the daunting task into a surprisingly enjoyable one. They met twice a week, focusing on simple topics: their day, their hobbies, current events. They used new vocabulary they had learned, tried out different sentence structures, and corrected each other gently. These structured conversations became invaluable, bridging the gap between her solo practice and actual communication. Lily noticed a significant difference from observing how other people talk in English to actually talking with David. In real conversation, the focus shifted from perfect grammar to conveying meaning. People understood even with minor errors. This realization was a profound breakthrough, freeing her from self-imposed linguistic shackles. She began to understand that fluency wasn't about eradicating every single mistake, but about communicating effectively and confidently despite them. Mistakes were no longer obstacles but natural components of the learning journey. They were simply feedback mechanisms, pointing towards areas that needed more attention and practice. The fear of saying, "I don't want to make a mistake but I always why," started to dissipate. She embraced the imperfections. Every error was a lesson learned, a chance to improve. This shift in perspective was revolutionary, transforming her anxiety into a curious eagerness to experiment and push her boundaries. Her confidence blossomed with each successful interaction, no matter how small. She found herself volunteering to speak more often, even in group settings. The hesitant Lily was slowly being replaced by a more assertive and engaged communicator, much to her own surprise and delight, feeling more present. The one page per day habit continued, reinforcing her internal monologue, making her thoughts flow more naturally in English. It was the bedrock of her progress, a consistent effort that compounded over time, laying a solid foundation for more complex spoken interactions and spontaneous conversations with others. Her paired conversations with David became more fluid, their discussions deeper. They challenged each other, introducing new topics and debating ideas. This dynamic interaction pushed her beyond simple exchanges, forcing her to articulate complex thoughts and arguments in real time, refining her persuasive abilities. Lily even started initiating conversations with strangers, something unimaginable just months before. Asking for directions, ordering food, or engaging in small talk no longer felt like daunting tasks but exciting opportunities. Each interaction was a mini-victory, building her resilience and proving her newfound capability. The journey wasn't without its setbacks. Some days, she still felt frustrated, her words tangled, her accent heavy. But now, instead of spiraling into despair, she viewed these moments as temporary hurdles, not permanent roadblocks. Her resilience had grown, strengthening her resolve to continue. She realized that learning how to talk in English wasn't about perfection, but persistence. It was about showing up daily, making mistakes, learning from them, and continuing to push forward. The best way to learn English, she discovered, was simply to speak it, consistently and courageously. Her initial fear of how to speak with people had transformed into genuine excitement. She now sought opportunities to converse, eager to practice her skills and connect with others. Her English voice, once timid and hidden, now resonated with clarity and confidence, a testament to her dedication and hard work. The internal struggle of "I understand English but I can't speak well" had largely vanished. Her comprehension and articulation were now much more aligned, working in harmony. She could express complex ideas with greater ease, finding the right words without agonizing pauses, truly bridging that frustrating gap she once experienced. Lily reflected on her journey, from feeling paralyzed by "why I always make mistakes" to embracing every misstep as a stepping stone. Her perspective had shifted dramatically. Mistakes were no longer sources of shame, but valuable data points guiding her toward greater accuracy and natural expression. Her observation of how other people talk in English now came with a newfound understanding. She saw their fluency not as an unreachable ideal, but as the result of consistent effort and a willingness to be imperfect. She recognized their errors, too, but also their admirable ability to gracefully recover. The core message of "I don't want to make mistake but I always why" had changed to "I will make mistakes, and that's okay, because that's how I learn." This profound acceptance liberated her, allowing her to speak more freely and spontaneously, without the constant burden of self-correction and internal judgment. The simple directive, "talk in English just 1 page per day," had been her anchor, providing a foundation for consistent, low-pressure practice. It proved that even small, daily efforts accumulate into significant progress, transforming a daunting goal into a series of achievable, manageable steps, one word at a time. Lily's story became an inspiration to her friends who shared similar struggles. She encouraged them to start small, to focus on consistency over perfection, and to find a practice partner. Her transformation proved that dedication, coupled with a change in mindset, could truly unlock one's linguistic potential. She now enjoyed conversations, participated actively in meetings, and even gave presentations in English with a calm composure she never imagined possible. The language, once a source of immense anxiety, had become a tool for connection, for learning, and for personal growth, expanding her world dramatically. Her journey highlighted the importance of a holistic approach, understanding, speaking, listening, and accepting imperfections. It wasn't just about grammar rules or vocabulary lists, it was about building confidence, overcoming fear, and finding joy in the process of communication itself, celebrating every small win. Lily had learned that the best way to learn English was not a single, magical method, but a combination of consistent effort, courageous practice, and a positive attitude towards mistakes. It was about embracing the entire messy, beautiful process of acquiring a new language and making it her own. She no longer feared how to talk to people in pairs, but actively sought out such opportunities. These one-on-one interactions provided invaluable feedback and allowed for deeper, more personal conversations than group settings. They honed her ability to listen actively and respond thoughtfully, enhancing her overall communication skills. Her confidence spilled into other areas of her life. The lessons learned in English acquisition, perseverance, resilience, and the acceptance of imperfection, became guiding principles in her professional and personal endeavors. She understood that growth often comes from stepping outside one's comfort zone, embracing the unknown. Lily knew her English journey would continue. There would always be new vocabulary to learn, new nuances to grasp, and new accents to understand. But she no longer approached these challenges with dread, but with an open mind and a curious spirit, eager to expand her linguistic horizons further. Her story serves as a powerful reminder that the biggest barrier to speaking English often isn't lack of knowledge, but fear. By confronting that fear, one conversation, one word, one page at a time, anyone can break through their speaking plateau and find their authentic, confident voice in English. It's a testament to the fact that consistent, deliberate practice, coupled with a healthy perspective on errors, is the true engine of fluency. Lily transformed her struggle into a triumph, proving that the desire to communicate can overcome even the deepest-seated anxieties and lead to remarkable personal growth. The echoes of, "I don't want to make mistake but I always why," now served as distant memories, replaced by the vibrant reality of effortless conversation. Lily's initial frustration had blossomed into genuine joy, as she freely expressed herself, connecting with people across cultures and expanding her world. She often found herself encouraging others, sharing her journey, emphasizing that progress isn't about perfection but about participation. The act of speaking, even imperfectly, was far more beneficial than silent understanding. Her message was clear: just begin, and keep going, no matter what. Her communication style became more fluid, her thoughts clearer, and her interactions more meaningful. She realized that fluency wasn't merely about grammar rules, it was about unlocking a part of herself, allowing her personality to shine through in a new language, forging deeper connections. Lily's transformation wasn't sudden but a gradual evolution, a testament to the power of daily habits. Each small step, each hesitant word, each conquered fear built upon the last, culminating in a confident speaker who once doubted her very ability to utter a simple English sentence. And so, Lily, once plagued by self-doubt, now spoke with a quiet assurance, her journey a beacon for anyone who felt stuck. She had not only learned how to talk in English, but had discovered the best way to learn English for herself, by simply doing it, consistently and bravely.